Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. In this one I'm going to show you how to locate the spawn chunks in your Minecraft world. For those of you who do not know what the spawn chunks are, they are a group of 12 by 12 chunks that are always loaded wherever you go in your world. This is the same for both servers and single player worlds, but first let me explain to you why you might want to find them. Because the spawn chunks are always loaded, they are ideal for things you would want running all the time. For example, an iron farm or a redstone contraption. The spawn chunks are also a place that items come through from the end portal, so you might want to build a storage system here to collect those items. And if you are following this video in an attempt to mark out your spawn chunks, make sure you watch the whole video first so you can plan out everything you will need to do this. Finding the spawn chunks isn't too difficult, and there are several ways to find them, and we will go over them one by one. First of all, you can use an external program like Admist. If you enter your seed, it will show you the coordinates of your base with the home icon, but this may be considered a little bit cheaty, which is fine because there are two ways to find it in game. You can craft a compass, which will always point to the center of your spawn chunks. Just follow the needle of the compass until it changes direction very quickly. When this happens, you are either at or very close to the central point, so move around for a moment and it will become obvious where the center is. When you have figured it out, make a marker to remember where this location is. This is a fantastic tool, however if you are a long way away, it may be quicker to kill yourself. If you have slept in a bed, then you will need to remove the bed for the game to respawn you in the spawn chunks. When you do respawn, it may not be exactly in the middle, so it would be a good idea to get a compass and mark the center like before. If you're not sure how far away from the spawn chunks you are, press F3 and bring up the debug screen. Spawn chunks are usually located around X0 and Z0, so if you are several thousand blocks away from it, it might not be worth the journey using a compass and quicker to kill yourself, but the choice is yours. So once you have made it to the spawn chunks, we need to be able to map out where they are, as the total size of them is 192 blocks by 192. For this you are going to need a lot of disposable items to throw on the ground. We are going to do this in order to let the items inside the spawn chunks despawn. As the chunks are always loaded, the items will despawn after 5 minutes. So go to your marker where the compass said is the center, then walk away from it in one direction for about 64 blocks. Once you have got this far, keep walking but also throw cobblestone on the ground. You will need to do this for another 64 blocks or so, and then you will need to do one of two things. If you're in single player, you will need to go through a nether portal. When you are in the nether, only the spawn chunks and the nether will be loaded. So you can wait 5 minutes and all the items in the spawn chunks will despawn. If you are on a server, you can do this too, or simply log out as the server will still be running. But if there are other players online, make sure they are not in the same area, and then after 5 minutes you can log back in and the items in the spawn chunks would have despawned. When you return to the overworld, you should see where your trail of items cuts off. This is because the items in the unloaded chunks would not despawn. Press F3 and check to see if you are on a chunk border. If it is, then you have successfully found one border of your spawn chunks. You should mark this with some blocks so you don't forget where it is. You can now walk exactly 192 blocks back across your spawn chunks to the opposite side. I would recommend redoing the test in this area just to make sure that it is correct, and then make a marker on this side as well. Once you have done this, return to the middle and repeat the test on the opposite axis. It shouldn't take you too long, and once finished you have successfully marked out the borders of the 12 by 12 chunk area. So this is optional, but what I'd recommend doing next is expanding those borders until you have a big square showing where the edges of your spawn chunks are. And so there are a couple more things I would like to mention about this. First of all, you can move the spawn chunks using the set world spawn command. If you do this, then you will still need to redo the item despawning test to find out the borders. However, the center will be exactly where you typed the command. And the very center of the spawn chunks is where the compass points to, and this is the exact place where items will come through from the end portal. Hostile mobs will instantly despawn in the spawn chunks if the player is not in range by 128 blocks. This means it's not ideal for mob farms just because it's loaded. Passive mobs won't spawn at all unless the player is in range by 240 blocks, and plants do not grow in the spawn chunks unless a player is there. The same thing goes for grass spreading and leaves decaying from trees, and also ice will not melt either. And that, my friends, is everything you need to know to find the spawn chunks in your world. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, it will always be appreciated. And if you're looking for more Minecraft tutorials, then down in the description box there is a link to the playlist. Click on that and check out all the tutorials we have made over the years. But that is it for this video, so as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.